Hey guys, it's Miss O'Hara and we are going to start our Mood Monster project. On our planning sheet, please do put your name and class code and the mood your monster is going to show. Remember, mood is the feeling you get in your body when you're looking at an artwork. When I look at your artwork, I should be able to tell if your monster is showing a easy mood, feelings that we like to feel, or a challenging mood, feelings that are hard for us to feel. I should be able to tell it from the shape of the mouth and the details that you put onto your monster. Now in the drawing I'm doing now, I'm showing a monster that has an easy mood. It's happy. Now if someone looked at my monster and thought, oh, this monster is excited, that's okay. It's okay that the feeling is a little different, but it's important that it still either be a challenging or an easy mood. Now for this one, I'm going to do a challenging mood. I'm going to do angry. Okay? And when you draw the mouth, the shape of the mouth should be a shape like the last one did, but you also are going to have to put a line around that mouth. That line around the mouth shows that we are making these as forms. Remember, forms are 3D. We will be making these forms out of pinch pots. And so that second line around the mouth, that helps us see that it's 3D, it is a form. Now, you can put any kind of details you want onto this. Your monster can have one eye, it can have 10 eyes, it can have a tail, it can have tentacles, it can have hands, feet, arms, or no feet, or 10 arms. It doesn't matter what details you're adding as long as those details show the mood that you said you were going to show. Remember, your grade depends on us knowing when we look at it if you have an easy mood or a challenging mood for your monster. Now to begin actually making our monster, we need a clay mat, and our clay stays on the clay mat, not on the tables. We need water for doing slipping, and we need a tool for scoring and cutting the clay. That's that needle tool. First, I tear my clay in half, and I'm going to turn one half into a sphere. I'm kind of squishing it with my hands, getting it ready to be a sphere, and I roll it out on my mat. I'm going to keep on squishing and rolling it in my hands and on the mat until it's a sphere. That other chunk of clay, we are going to use that for the details in our monster. Now that your clay is a sphere, it's time to turn it into a pinch pot. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to put it onto your thumb. And now, using your fingers, you are going to squeeze it gently together. You notice my other hand isn't doing anything except turning the clay. My hand that has my thumb inside the clay, that is doing all the pinching. Now that that hole is a little bigger, I can put my fingers inside and I keep on turning it while I'm pinching in order to make the hole bigger. Once it's big enough, I can smooth it out and voila, I have a pinch pot. The opening of our pinch pot is going to be the mouth of our monster. I'm shaping this one to be a smile to show a happy mood so that everybody can see that my monster is having a nice easy mood, it's smiling, it is happy. Now for my other monster, I'm going to do a challenging mood. This is going to be angry. So now I'm shaping the mouth of that monster to show the emotion angry to make my mood. Now, once the mouth is done, it's time to add details. And we're going to use lots of techniques for this. The first one we're going to use is slab making. I'm using this part of my hand to gently tap a piece of clay to make it flat. Notice I'm turning it so it doesn't get stuck to my mat, okay? And I don't want it to be very thin. The thinnest it should be is about the size of your finger. So pick it up and make sure that it's not too thin. Yep, I picked it up. It looks like it's about the size of my finger, so that is the thinnest I can make it. Before I start cutting out the details, I'm going to draw them on the top of the clay first. That will let me change anything I don't like, any mistakes I made. I can erase it with my finger like that and redraw it before I put it all the way through the clay and cut it out. Now, after you cut it out, if you want to have two details that are the same, and you're using slabs, you can take that piece and then put it onto another slab and trace it around like this. Once your slab pieces are cut out, now it's time to attach them by scoring. That's what I'm doing right now when I use my needle tool to mess up the clay like that. That's called scoring. You need both pieces of clay that you're attaching to be scored. Really mess it up. Don't make nice little lines. It's got to be really messy. And now it needs to be slipped. That's the water part. When you add water to your scoring, you're making slip. Now I can push them together because the slip and score together is clay glue, and now those slab pieces that I cut out will stay on the mouth that I made. Spheres are really good for eyes. You can have as many eyes or as little eyes as you want to, just so long as you slip and score them on. The next technique we are going to use is coils, okay? When we were little, we called this like worms or snakes. We rolled them out of Play-Doh. Now that we're big, we know this is called a coil. Do not make your coils small. They need to be at least as fat as your finger or fatter. So as fat as your finger or fatter. Once you roll them, cut them to be the size that you want. And then when you attach them, you guessed it, you have to slip and score them. Okay, right now I'm shaping them to be the right shape, but then I'm going to attach them by scoring with my needle tool and then adding slip with water. Remember, they've got to be fat coils, at least as fat as your finger or fatter. If they're skinnier than your finger, they're gonna break. So make them fat. Now I'm going to add a texture. There are many different kinds of textures because texture is how something feels. The kind of texture I want is like a smooth, bumpy texture. Like, you know, when you have a smooth rock, but it has some bumps in it. I really like that texture. It makes me happy. So I cut some coils into little thin pieces, and I'm going to slip and score them onto the back of my monster. This will make it more interesting to look at because so far I don't have any details on the back. So I'm going to add that texture to the back to make it interesting. Now I'm switching over to my angry monster to show you a different texture. Okay, so the texture I'm going to use is like a spiny texture. I want it to look kind of sharp and jagged. So I am pinching the back of this monster so that it has that kind of a little less friendly texture, and that fits my mood really well. So I grab the clay with my fingers and I just pinch, pinch, pinch. I can use that pinching technique to shape my monster too, like I'm doing right now to give my monster a bottom row of teeth. Now that my monster has all these details and texture, it's time to clean up. I take my extra clay and I turn it into a pancake, and I pancake that clay onto everybody else's extra clay so Miss O'Hara can use it again later. And now we have a monster where all the details show our mood.